So we need to talk about Social Security, and for good reason. Millions and millions of Americans are wanting answers. Want to know, is Social Security going to be there for them when they are about to retire? Or are taxes going to go up to account for the new people that are starting to retire now? Or are we going to see cuts? All these things need to be answered and need to be answered immediately. But there's a problem. I want to explain what the problem is moving forward, but also explain what certain people are saying needs to happen and what is going to happen in the next couple months. So, if you want to know everything that's going on regarding Social Security, make sure you go ahead and watch this entire video. And if you could, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button if you want more videos on Social Security. Let's get right down to it. So here's what one person is saying regarding Social Security. But what they're saying is also something that many other lawmakers have been saying as well. However, not really publicly. Look at this. So right here it says, Christie, Social Security Medicare cuts are a necessary political risk in today's economy. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's read a little bit of this article. It says right here, former New Jersey Governor Christie said it's time to take a political risk and consider changes to Social Security and Medicare benefits for young people. What he's actually proposing, okay, let me go and read you this really quick before I tell you what he's proposing. It says the most disgusting part of Joe Biden's State of the Union address this year was when he stood up and said, "We all agree, right? We're not going to do anything to Social Security," and both sides got up and cheered. Well, that's not actually what he said. He pretty much said, we all agree, we're not going to make cuts to Social Security. Everybody cheered. Now, this was something that Republicans didn't want. They didn't want President Biden to address this because then they had to come up and pretty much show that, yes, they're behind him. And they're not behind him because they want changes. Now, the changes that they want are not what Christie is proposing. Look at this. It says Christie proposed raising the benefit eligibility age for Americans currently under age 50. Changes only affecting younger people would give them time to plan, he said. It says we can make real savings over the long term by playing with eligibility age. Now, I hate the words that he used by saying playing with eligibility age, but that's essentially what they're trying to do. They're trying to adjust the full retirement age to end up saving Social Security a little bit of money. And when I say a little bit of money, it is a little bit of money every single year. So, how could we fix this? Well, right now he's proposing 50 years of age as the starting point, but there are others that are actually pushing for somewhere between 30 and 40 years old. So that's going to be a major change. Once that happens, we'll see kind of what comes off of that. But my guess is that's where we're going to start. It's probably 30 years old and 50 years old, and figure out a spot in the middle that's going to best suit everybody. But again, we will see as we move forward. Now, I do want to explain one thing, okay? And what I've been hearing from a lot of people is, well, why can't we just tax people a little bit more? The reason why it's very difficult to tax people more is because Democrats, they go under the plan of they tax you and then they give you that money back if you need it, right? They tax and spend. That's what they do. Republicans are under the other kind of plan of let's not tax you, let's let you use your money as you wish, and then it will just come back through the economy. So kind of two different perspectives here. But the biggest reason why we cannot just keep taxing people more is because it looks bad, especially when this economy is struggling a little bit. Millions of people don't have jobs. Millions of people can't keep, paying for their apartment, keep paying for their mortgage. It's too expensive. There's many people that are behind on utility bills, behind on all their bills. Some can't put food on the table, can't pay for the medications that they need. This is a real problem. But there is something that's coming up in 2025. I want to explain what this is because this is going to impact every single one of us. And it is this, okay? This right here says Trump-era tax cuts are set to expire. Here's how much more you'll pay. I want to address this because this is what some people are looking to. They're looking at the Trump-era tax cuts as a way to provide additional benefits to Social Security recipients. Now, I don't think we are going to see Republicans go for this, but I want to explain what the big changes are, okay? So right here, the income tax rate. So at the end of 2025, I believe it's January 1st, 2026, all the Trump-era tax cuts will go away. They'll expire. Look at this. It says, although it kept 7 income brackets, the TCJA lowered tax rates across the board and restructured bracket spans, making them agreeable under the TCJA, with the exception of those who were at the 10% bracket and the 35% bracket tax rate levels prior to 2018. I want to read you this one here. Okay? So this is the reason why it is going to be very difficult to see us increase our regular income tax in order to provide additional benefits to Social Security recipients. Because of this. The top individual tax rate dropped from 39.6% to 37%. So it went down 2.6% under former President Donald Trump. Okay? That's for single filers making under $578,000 or $78,000 or over. The 33% bracket fell to 32%, 28% bracket fell to 24%, and the 25% tax bracket fell to 22%. The 15% tax bracket fell to just 12%. This is where the majority of people are at, $11,000 through $44,000. So they saved 3%. The reason why it's going to be very difficult to see a tax increase, an income tax increase, is simply because, and push that money aside just to Social Security, is because the people that are going to be impacted the most are the lowest income earners. That's who's going to be paying for Social Security. And that's why it's a problem, because President Biden has already said anybody that's making less than $400,000 per year will not pay a penny more in taxes. But they might. So this is why there are many Democrats that believe they are not going to push for President Biden to be their front runner. They don't want him. They want somebody new that does not make a promise or will not make a promise that nobody making less than $400,000 per year will pay a penny more in taxes, because they need to tax those people in order to pay for Social Security. Again, Social Security is going to become insolvent within the next 10 years. There's no stopping it. The only thing we can do at this point is to try to slow it down a little bit, but in the end, we have to increase taxes, which we can't do under President Biden, because he already made that promise. Nobody making less than $400,000 per year will pay a penny more in taxes. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I do want to give you some other good news regarding Social Security, though, and this is, it's good news, bad news. Okay? The good news is the cost of living adjustment for 2024 could increase past that 3% range. And I said this the other day, probably a week or so ago. I said the Social Security cost of living adjustment is likely to be between 2.8 and 3.2%. There's a chance it goes a little bit higher than 3.2%. This is why. This article says Social Security cost of living adjustment for 2024 may be 3% estimate finds. How hurricane season may change that. What we might see is that the hurricanes that we are experiencing right now, like Hurricane Hillary, if this impacts millions of people like it is expected to, people are going to be, pushed out of their homes. The cost of food is going to go up because we're not going to get many shipments of new food or water or things like that. Electricity could go sky high. We are already seeing that down in Texas. I talked about this the other day where, I have a friend that's paying more than double what he normally does. And it's insane. But that is what's about to happen. So just understand that with all these hurricanes, there's one big factor though, and it's this. Okay, it says the COLA estimate will go up if the price of gasoline jumps considerably. The COLA estimate may go down if gas and oil prices drop. The expectation, if we have this massive hurricane season, again, keep in mind, we really only have until the end of this month. Okay, because the cost of living adjustment figures, these are calculated based off of just 3 months. Third quarter of this calendar year will go into effect for 2024, which means it is July, August, and September. Those 3 months are the only ones that matter. We're going to have the September CPI report within the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So I think 3 weeks. So we're going to see what it's at there, but that means we don't have a lot of time. But if we see gas prices jump, which we are already starting to see in most of the West Coast, then expect the cost of living adjustment for 2024 to be a little bit higher. So that is what we know at this time. That is my update regarding Social Security as of today. Again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next one.